Hey, what's going on? Pete Amato here with a very special episode of Why Eagles Why, featuring Philadelphia Eagles legend Brian Westbrook. We'll be talking to B.West about his brand new partnership with DraftKings and the current state of the Philadelphia Eagles team.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it, Pete.
We really appreciate you being here, taking the time. I know right now it's a busy time of the year for you, especially with the NFL. They're probably pulling you all different directions right now. But
Yeah, a lot going on, but it's an exciting time for me. Excited
yeah.
about football, excited about what's going to be happening this season, and certainly excited about DraftKings.
Why don't you tell us a little about your partnership with DraftKings?
Yeah, I partnered up with DraftKings because, I knew that a lot of people are into daily fantasy bets. They're also into the sports book, and in DraftKings, they're the best in the area. And so, it was important that we kind of jumped in together so I can spread the news to the skin in the game fans that DraftKings has. That, of course, DraftKings has the best offerings as far as bet offerings, as well as promos. And that anytime anyone wants to be involved with the people that are doing it the right way, they have integrity and are doing it the right way. They want you to stay within your limits. They want you to have fun. Then DraftKings is a site to jump on to be able to do that.
Is there anything in particular what made you choose DraftKings over any other ones? Like one thing?
Well, I've worked with DraftKings for a few years now,
Okay.
and of course they have great people to work with. But to me, it's just awesome that they have a lot of the promos. They have a bunch of offerings, and at the end of the day, that's what it's about. How much money can you get, and can you win money and things like that? And DraftKings certainly has the best. And when you look at the sports book as well as the daily fantasy, they're just the best in the market.
Is there a favorite bet you like to make weekly? Do you like any favorite props? I know you work with some of the promotions.
Yeah, I always look at the promos. That's where I always start. Check out the promos, see what type of offerings they have, to see where they're at, and usually I pick out of the promos because that's the type of better that I am. And so I check those out and make sure that I find a couple of them that I like, and I just go after those.
That's cool. Do you usually stay away from the Eagles bets? Like, as an Eagles fan,
it just depends. I mean, if there's just something that's too good to stay away from, then I'll go after it. It just all depends on what type of offerings there are out there.
Yeah, I usually with the Eagles, I'm an Eagles fan, so usually I stay away from betting them as far as money line or point spread, because I don't want to be like double disappointed. But when it comes to props and stuff, I usually mess around with them. Yeah. So talking about the Eagles, I want to get into a little about how they are in their current state this season. So overall, how do you think they performed? We're 4 weeks in. How do you think they look right now?
Well, to me, they look like a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And coming into the season, I thought they were going to be a work in progress. You got a first-time head coach who was young, a bunch of young assistant coaches. You got a first-time starter as far as a season starter at quarterback, a young quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And when you look at the pieces around him, young guys all around him. And so because of that, I thought it was going to be a season where we see some ups and downs. We see some great games, Atlanta. Then we see some not so good games, Dallas, San Fran, and of course, the Chiefs, just because you didn't get the win. But within those games, you saw some pieces begin to work. You saw some things that began to work. So for me, the season is basically going exactly how I expect it to go. You just always want to get wins. And unfortunately, I think this year would be a learning time for this football team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if you listen to the fan base before the season started, everybody was kind of expecting a rebuilding year. But as a fan, I guess once it jumps in, they want to win, and they kind of forget about this is a brand new team. Basically, this is a lot of young players, brand new quarterback, and brand new running game. And getting into the running game, there's been a lack of running game, a lack of run plays called this year so far. Do you know, is there a reason for that? Something behind the ideas of the coaches on the lack of run game?
Well, a lot of things are dictated by the defense. And I know Nick Sirianni loves the RPO, and that's a run pass option. And some of the looks are giving you the pass option. Some of the looks are going to say, hey, man, you got to throw the ball in this situation. I think it's important to establish a run game. But when you look at games like last week, no punts, They were in a situation where they were able to move the ball up and down the field, just not able to convert in the red zone. And because of that, I think they had a good game offensively, but they just not running the ball an awful lot. And I think when you run the football, it takes some pressure off of your defense. It allows them to rest a little bit. It allows your offensive lineman to wear down a defensive line. And unfortunately, they just decided to go away from the run. And I think that's more of Nick Sirianni and his style at this point in his career.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of what you said, it also, when you establish a run game, it keeps players like Mahomes off the field. The guy is obviously going to get his. He's going to score. He's going to convert his offense. So I think the run game actually helps in that sense too, which we weren't really able to do. Is there a point in the season, do you think they need to start ramping up the run plays more? I know it's never going to be 50-50. I don't know if it's ever been 50-50 since I've been watching the Eagles, but is there any chance that you think it'll be a little closer, maybe like 25% run plays, 30% run plays?
Well, I know Nick Sirianni believes in the run game. I know that he believes in the play action game, and that's derived off the run game. He hasn't really got to it yet. I hope to see Miles Sanders involved. Yeah. I know that they've gotten Kenny Gainwell involved as far as in the passing game, a little bit in the run game as well. I think Miles Sanders is a home run hitter. He's a playmaker. And to me, he's one of these guys that you want to get the ball in his hands. I would love to get him involved in the run game just to give your offense more options. I mean, there are going to be games where your pass game is working. Those are the games you continue to throw the football. Other games, you're going to have to be able to run the football. We haven't seen that happen so far this year for the Eagles.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they need to somehow bring up the run game a little bit more. But like you said, the game kind of dictates what they do. If they start down 14-0, obviously the run game is not going to be their biggest offensive move with Certainly. That. So as far as another new component to this team, newest component is the whole Jalen Hurts factor. Personally, I always thought he started out looking like a one-read quarterback. I was a little nervous about if he would ever transition into a successful NFL quarterback. We kind of saw like a Jekyll and Hyde of Jalen Hurts this year. One game we see where he's that one-read quarterback where he just, if that read's not there, he kind of puts his head down and runs. But then the Chiefs game, we see a whole different Jalen Hurts, where he's reading the defense well, going through his progressions well. Which Jalen Hurts should we expect the rest of the season?
Well, I think in previous games we've seen him go through his reads, but there are times when you go through a couple of your reads and the best option is to run the football. Mm-hmm. To me, when I watch him, he's a quarterback that wants to throw the ball down the field. He's not just trying to run every single time. Every single time he drops back, he wants to be able to throw the ball down the field, but there's other options too. And the other option is I can run for 15 yards without being touched. That's what I want my quarterback to do. Because now that makes the defense pay a little bit more attention to the run game as far as the quarterback running, and that may open up a pass down the field later on in the game. And so I think it's one of those things where we'll continue to see Jalen Hurts improve. I think he has improved from week one in small portions of the game. He just has to continue to be consistent. And we got to also remember, this is a guy that moved around a little bit in college, but also did not play very much last year. He started the last 4 games. He didn't play very much. And I just think that this is the opportunity for him. And of course, he didn't play very much in the preseason. Yeah. This is the opportunity for him to understand the NFL and how it's being played. And it is going to take some time for him to understand it all and perfect it if they're going to head in that direction as far as him being the franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and I think he definitely has the natural leadership qualities. I mean, you see him on the field, off the field, people listen to him. When he walks into a room, he demands kind of everybody listen to him, which is what you want in your quarterback. You've had the fortunate opportunity to be with one of the greatest Philadelphia Eagles quarterback that we've ever seen, Donovan McNabb. Do you see any similarities between Jalen Hurts and McNabb?
It's way too early to try to bring the similarities up between those two. Donovan, he's a Pro Bowler. He's a perennial Pro Bowler, a Hall of Fame type of player, the best quarterback the Eagles have ever seen. I think it's way too early to even try to draw up comparisons between the two. Some of the skill set is similar. They both are mobile. They both can be able to move around the pocket. But we haven't seen the best of Jalen Hurts. I just think it's way too early to try to start drawing conclusions of what he'll be as far as a career passer or the type of quarterback that he's going to be throughout the entirety of his career at this point.
Gotcha. So like, I know you're around football all the time. Do you ever miss it? Do you ever miss I know you probably don't miss like the daily grind, the practices, but do you ever miss the chance to really compete?
I miss game days. I miss running out of the tunnel, being around the guys. That's what's important, especially to football players. Being around the guys is celebrating with your teammates, just hanging out. But in game days, I still feel that electricity running through my body, and I certainly get excited about that.
Yeah. You ever think about getting into coaching or anything?
No, I mean, coach is not my thing.
Yeah.
I got 3 kids. I'll coach them.
There you go.
But I'm not going to coach in the NFL.
I have 2 kids, so I know how
you understand it.
how
Then.
time that is. Yeah. Looking back on your career, is there any? I know obviously the Super Bowl and whatnot, playing the Super Bowl. Is there the biggest like moment that really kind of that you think about a lot?
I think playing in the Super Bowl is probably the thing that's the highlight of your career, whether you win or you lose. Just making it to the Super Bowl is beneficial and helpful. For me, the punt return up there in the Meadowlands is important, but I look over the course of my career. I had a lot of very good moments that I'm proud of and excited about. And, it's hard to pinpoint just one, but I certainly point out the moment in the Meadowlands, because that was kind of the beginning that people started to notice who Brian Westbrook was, a playmaker that I could potentially be. And then the thing that gets brought up the most, of course, is me taking going down at the one down there in Dallas, because so many fantasy bettors, when we talk about DraftKings, they're always interested in that and always interested to see how the thought process behind that and what all went into it, that play. And of course, that made a lot of people some money, and that made a lot of people lose some money as well. So it's always interesting.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because I was actually going to bring that up. In one of our episodes, we were talking about Dallas Cowboys and like greatest moments in the history of the Cowboys. And one of the moments that we talked about came up was when you went down at the one, and how you were one of the first people to show that like unselfish play for the team. You didn't really see that in the league much before you did it. Now you see it a little bit more.
Well, before it's a hard thing to do. I mean, just think about it. You're taught from a very young age, score.
Right?
And when you're taught score, that's the only thing you're thinking about, because you're one track focused as a playmaker. Get into the end zone. That's my job. And for me, it just happened to work out that way. That was the best thing for the team. Now, as my career is over, having one more touchdown would be nice. It's nice to have one more touchdown. I just saw Jake Elliott just surpass me in the most points as an Eagle, or something like that, and which is kind of funny, because I think about that play and say, well, man, if I had one more touchdown, maybe I'll still be in 6th place or whatever it was. But that, hey, listen, you put the team first. You're playing a team sport. The team winning and the health of the team is the most important part, and that's what I did.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why it was on our kind of our conversation. And then later in the year, when they play the Cowboys again, we're going to go probably through a list of the top 10 moments, and that's definitely going to be on there. But I'm surprised that that's something people talk to you about. Is a lot of like bettors come up to you, probably talk about you, or just
yeah, it's almost 15, 20 years later, people are still talking about it, and it's always run on different shows and things like that. So it's pretty cool to still be thought of and still be brought up. And I retired 10 years ago, so that's still pretty cool for that to happen.
I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. It's an exciting time of the year, right in the middle of the NFL schedule. We're definitely going to be taking a look at the DraftKings promotions. If anybody watching this video wants to check out some of the promotions and what Brian Westbrook's talking about, there will be a link in the description. Thanks for joining us again, Brian, and we look forward to next time we talk.
Thanks so much, Pete. Take care, buddy.